On today's episode of the DeRaud-Messinger Show, we're making our initial reactions to Texas's college football playoff matchup with Washington in the Sugar Bowl. Longhorns fans and high school football fans, because we're making our picks, don't forget to like and subscribe for more content. It's greatly appreciated. And as always, check us out at HornSports.com, where we've got all the latest in Texas news. Now, Dylan, some fans may be happy about this matchup against Washington and the fact that they're avoiding a team like Michigan or even, dare I say, Alabama once again. However, Dylan, I think I'd be more concerned about Washington at this point in time. Do you agree or disagree?
I was about to say, I feel like a rematch with Alabama, that would be tough with the way they're playing, but the way this offense stacks up and it's more run focused, and with Michigan's, they've got a lot of good running backs, right, in the backfield for them, but the receiving core, I would think, is more the lacking position in the college football play, like comparatively. So Washington's probably the worst one you can get, Devin, because they have a three-headed monster led by Rome Odunze at receiver. They got Michael Penix, who's a Heisman finalist and has the most passing yards in college football, as well as this is the number one passing offense per game with 343.8 per game. And when we talk about this Texas secondary, we've talked about it all year. They currently rank around 96th in pass yards allowed, Devin, and it's a young secondary that has been known to get torched when facing quarterbacks that can really throw it deep.
Yeah, the thing about the secondary is you said it's young, and that's really the key point. Like, they've gotten better seemingly over the course of the year. Of course, every game, as we've been joking about, every single game so far throughout the season, there's at least one or two deep ball plays that end up going against Texas' way. And to be fair, in the Big 12 championship game, they were down Austin Jordan and they were down Ryan Watts. So you assume those guys are going to be back for the Sugar Bowl matchup. So Texas secondary, all things considered, no injuries during practice. They should be regaining their form. However, as Dylan said, it's one thing to regain your form. It's another thing to regain your form against a team that has a three-headed attack at receiver. And I was talking to Dylan about this. Ironically enough, these teams met last year in the Alamo Bowl. And Dylan, Washington was outpassed by Texas, but
Yeah.
they outrushed Texas. That's a little intriguing. But this year, Dylan, talk about Dylan Johnson, the Washington running back, who has performed better than last year's team in terms of rushing the football. Already has more yards in just one less game, at least appearance-wise for him. How do you feel about Johnson as a running back?
I love the way that he plays. And I also think, I mean, when you're looking at how Texas played against good running backs this season, they've played against the most elite running backs. You look at Ollie Gordon, who's first in rushing yards, and Taj Brooks, who's fourth in rushing yards, right? So they've done really well holding guys to, below their average in some of their worst games. But when you look at how Dylan Johnson plays with this Washington offensive line, that I would say is one of the best that Texas is going to be going up against comparatively, the way that they could just get that push at the start of every play. Dylan Johnson is really good at just getting yards. Like, he always seems when he falls forward, very tough to get him to lose yards. He's just one of those running backs that has great awareness, great vision. He might not blow you away with just his pure speed and his pure cutting ability. Um, but he is somebody that, he will get 5 yards, he will get 6 yards, and he will make it so Texas has to really respect that run. And then when they get those one-on-one matchups with their receivers, I know we talked about Ryan Watts coming back from injury, but a lot of these receivers just seemingly they're losing those one-on-ones. It felt like for Texas for a while now, and that's not just limited to Ryan Watts; it's limited to pretty much everybody on this team. And Rome Odunze is not somebody that you can line up one-on-one against. They're going to have to give safety help, and then the moment that happens, you're taking more guys away from the field. And they got great players as well with Jalen Polk too on the other side.
Yeah, they're going to have to rely on stopping the passing game in terms of dedicating men to the secondary. But as Dylan was mentioning, the Texas front has done well this season. But you also don't want to shoot yourself in the foot, Dylan, and really test how good
The good
defensive front
news
has been.
is Penix always has two or three balls that are like, here, if you want an interception, take it, but you gotta take
You
advantage of
gotta
this
you gotta
spot right
catch
here.
it. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
that's been the problem for him. And then, you got the offense too, Dylan. Xavier Worthy, he was banged up in the Big 12 championship game, and I believe, if I remember correctly, left the game. Theoretically, hypothetically, yet again talking about all this extra time before the bowl game, he'll be back for Texas in that college football playoff. But Dylan, offensively too, Texas has to get it done and play like they did in the Big 12 championship game against Oklahoma State, a game in which Quinn Ewers looked like the guy that Texas got. He's looked like the number one player in the recruiting class that he was. How do you think Texas can fare against Washington's defense?
I mean, it's going to be there for them. USC scored. They might have almost got to 50, but I know they scored 40 plus in that one game between each other when they were just going toe to toe, just scoring touchdowns. So you can really move the ball on Washington when you look at their stats this year. They're the most thrown on team. They have an average of 40.1 pass attempts on them per game, which is 140, which obviously last in college football. And they're the 122nd in pass yards allowed per game, 263.2. So Ewers is going to be able to find guys that are going to be open. And I know we talk about the skill players for Washington, but Texas has some legitimately great skill players as well with Adonai Mitchell, Xavier Worthy, and Jatavian Sanders. So they might not have the stats the Washington guys have just because of the way the offense has been working. Obviously, Washington throws the ball more. They've got the best passing offense. That's just the way they're structured, while Texas is more of a balanced kind of approach. But they've got the skill players to go toe-to-toe with Washington. It's just, do they have that, experience with it, having to go into that shootout and keeping up with Washington? I think Texas' best bet is going to be some of that game management, running the ball, setting up that play action, and just keeping this Washington offense off the field so they don't just gas out their defense, because that Washington team can really make that into a track meet.
No, I agree. That's what they did so well in the Big 12 championship game, too. I mean, of course, it's a high-scoring game, and you don't really have to look at it too in-depth, Dylan, but there's plenty of drives where they took off 5 or 6 minutes and then resulted in some sort of score. Of course, you need to put points on the board, but they did that. Of course, there was the missed field goal right before the end of the first half, but that's really, offensively, the only really, mark against them in that entire game. They're going to have to milk the clock a little bit, but of course still be aggressive. I know that's part of the fans' complaint against Sark, but hey guys, they're in the Sugar Bowl. It's a college football playoff. He's doing something right.
And I think a big X factor too will just be the timeout usage, like how Sark kind of manages the clock. Because if you get into a situation where you kick a field goal with 40 seconds left and mismanage a few play clock things, Washington can score within 20 seconds. So that's another, I think, key X factor going into this game too.
Especially against this Texas team that, as we know, has led up some quick scoring drives late in halves, late in games. I totally agree. We'll see, Dylan. We'll see. But we're going to talk more about this game, of course, in the coming weeks. Now we got our playoff picks. It's round 5 in Texas high school football. And you know what that means, Dylan? There's only one round left after this. Some call this the toughest round in high school sports because, Dylan, if you lose, you were so close to tasting the glory of making it to AT&T Stadium. And for half these teams, unfortunately, that will be the case. The first one we've got is actually going to be in the Austin area in Pflugerville. 6A D1, number 3 Westlake versus number 1 North Shore. In this one, I have North Shore.
Yeah, I've got North Shore as well. They've just been, again, we talked about it, they've been a buzzsaw. This Westlake team doesn't have that dominant defense you'd expect out of past teams. I think North Shore is going to be able to really move the ball on them. Next one, we got 6A D1, number 6 North Crowley. Guess number 5, Duncanville, Devon. This Duncanville defense as well isn't the same, too. They've been allowing a lot of points. I believe they allowed about 40 points to DeSoto when they played them last. So you can move the ball, but you still have to be physical. They will test you. And I don't think North Crowley is going to have that ability against Duncanville. I got Duncanville.
North Crowley definitely hasn't been a Cinderella per se this year, Dylan, but they have been quite impressive. If you were going to name an impressive teams list, they might be near the top of it, making the way to number 6. But with that being said, Duncanville, they did allow a lot of points to DeSoto, but still a pretty dang good Duncanville team. I expect them to win here. Next game we have 6A D2, number 10 Southlake Carroll versus number 2 DeSoto. It seems like these teams, Dylan, always meet in the playoffs at some round. Yeah. And for a long time, it was to DeSoto's disadvantage. I think they get the payback here, though. I got DeSoto.
Yeah, I mean, DeSoto is so good. They had such a convincing win over Duncanville earlier in the season. If they play their game, this Southlake Carroll defense is going to have a really hard time stopping them, and it's going to force their offense to play catch up the entire time. I got DeSoto. Next one, we got 6A D2, number 11, Cibolo Steel. Guess number 9, Summer Creek. Devin, you know how high I've been on the Cibolo Steel team all year. They pulled out an impressive victory last week, too. Summer Creek's going to be a whole nother battle. Going to be a close one, but I do have Cibolo still pulling off the presumed upset here.
Oh man, yeah, I was tempted to pick that one, Dylan, too. I was talking myself into it, looking at all the different
Mm.
conspiracy theory ways that it could happen. It's just Summer Creek. They have a loss to North Shore this year, but they played that one close. Anytime anyone plays North Shore close, I pay a little extra attention to that. In terms of a fan experience, Steel is the team that is fun to watch. So in some ways, you're hoping for Steel to win, but I think Summer Creek is gonna get it done here with the Houston dominance, if you will. Next game we have 5A D1, number 8 Forney versus number 1 Aledo. Aledo Dylan just quietly this year, I would say, has continued to do what they do, and just always the number 1 team, and I don't pick against them, especially when they're so close to a championship. I got Aledo.
Yeah, it's a tale of two different sides just with the attention. Feels like Forney's gotten a lot of attention this year because they've been coming out of nowhere for the most part. They're making their
100%.
appearance.
I've heard about
And Aledo,
Forney. Aledo just a quiet assassin.
yeah, like you were saying, Aledo. Not many games I felt like we talked about them, but again, they've been taking care of business as you can see. So I got Aledo winning this one. Next one we got 4A D2, number 6 Belleville. This number 5 Wimberley. Then this Belleville team has had an impressive run up to this point, and this defense and just their balanced attack, I think it's going to be enough to take down Wimberley here. I got Belleville.
Yeah, when you look up the last couple of games, Belleville has just been slaughtering opponents, and Wimberley, yet again, one of those teams that's consistently at this level. But just with Belleville's streak right now, I'm not going to pick against them. I have Belleville. Next game we have 3A D1, number 4 Brock versus number 2 Malakoff. Now this is a big boy battle here. Malakoff, though, Dylan, has looked impressive as of late. Of course, the whole season, but really as of late as well. I got Malakoff.
Devin, remind me next year when we talk about Brock and we're like, oh, they went 0-3 to start the season again. Remind me not to believe that because this is still a great Brock team. The way they've been playing, they've won out since that third week. I got Brock taking this one home.
Team strike
Next
the
one.
schedule over there.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. They know what they're doing. Out of conference is big to them. Next one we got 3D2, number 2 Canadian against number 1 Gunter. Devin, this is always a really good matchup. They seemingly face each other quite a lot. But I think Gunter, they've just been better all year, consistently. Got them winning this.
I have Gunter as well. The next game we have 2A D1. This is actually the toughest one, maybe, Dylan. Number 4 Stratford versus number 3 Tolar. I have Tolar. They lost once this year to a private school team. Dylan, I believe, is Dallas Christian, who has pretty much played all the top dogs in private school and has beaten most of them. That has lost to, I believe, a team from Oklahoma. But if you look at it, that team should not be playing 2A teams. I like this, as Dylan's saying, out of conference scheduling. I'm going to reward them even for a tough loss there. I got Tolar.
We're starting to sound like the committee here, but I'm going to go off recent victories. Stratford, Devin, they beat Howley, who I picked, sadly, to win. They beat them 46-6, pretty handedly in that one. I think they're going to keep the streak going and take home a big win here. Next one, we got 2AD2, number 10 Sunray against number 1 Albany. Devin, we've been picking Albany all year. I think I picked them to win earlier before the season started. They haven't shown any really signs of weakness or for me to think otherwise that they wouldn't win it. So I got Albany winning.
They've been a safe bet this year, so I'm also gonna, side with you and be a smart man. Hopefully, we'll see. We've gotten some of these shocking games wrong. 2A D2, the last one, number 7 Chilton versus number 2 Mart. Yet again, Mart, you can take it to the bank usually, but will Chilton be able to upset this team a week before the championship round? I don't think so, but it could be close. I got Mart.
Yeah, when I was looking, I was like, uh-oh, Mart's back. It's going to be a great one. Albany against Mart in the championship game. That'd be something to see. Obviously, Mart's still got to take care of business here. But the way they've been playing, they stack it really well against this Chilton team. I got Mart winning.
More important than our picks, which high school football game will you be watching this weekend? And how do you feel about Texas' draw with Washington? Happy, sad, neutral? Let us know down below. Don't forget to like and subscribe. And as always, don't forget to have a great rest of your day.